How's it going?
Hey, Dee, how you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. On the phone with us today is Dee Snider, legendary frontman from Twisted Sister, solo artist, and host of House of Hair every Saturday night here on Rock 107. Going on almost 20 years you've been doing that, right?
You know what? The show itself is 26 years, going on 27. It's been crazy long, and you guys have been supporting me for such a long time. You know, started with a few stations, Mark, and then it grew into a thing, you know, and I've got hundreds now. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's my favorite 3 hours of radio. A, because I don't have to work, and B, I could just sit back and listen to the tunes I grew up to.
You know, it's when I first started the show back in the 90s, you know, and I remember saying to the producer, Pam Edwards, you know, and creator of the show, I said, so what do you think this is like? We'll do this for a few years? She goes, are you kidding me? As long as there are people who grew up on this music, there will be the House of Hair. And since I started, I've seen families, you know, kids become adults and have children, and people become grandparents. Crazy. And they've been listening for so long now, generations. It's amazing.
Such a great show. Dee, you have something coming out. Well, you did a song for a documentary that's landing on REELZ this Sunday. First off, I just discovered REELZ recently, and I do see that you do a lot of the voiceover stuff for some of the documentaries.
Yeah, I do the voice for a show called Breaking the Band, and I've been doing it for a few years now. And it's funny because people, now they think they actually put my name on the credits. You're up front, you know, because people used to be sitting there for like racking their brains going, I know this voice. I know this voice, you know, and they're making themselves nuts, you know. Then they see social media. Is that you? You know, so yeah, I voiced that show, and that's interesting because it's all about band breakups. It's a pretty cool show.
Yeah, it is a great show. I think I saw the Van Halen episode this past weekend.
Yeah, there's one on Twisted Sister, which is bizarre because I'm narrating a show about me breaking up my own band. so they even put a camera in the studio to film my reactions to my bandmates saying what a dick I was, you know.
Well, REELZ has really taken that rock and roll flag and ran with it, and they have a brand new documentary coming out this weekend, 8 o'clock on Sunday, February 20th, America's Deadliest Rock Concert, the guest list. And you actually have a song on, is there a soundtrack, or is it just featured in the documentary? Well,
the documentary, just so people know, this is about the Station nightclub fire 19 years ago, Rhode Island, Great White. People remember it was they used their pyro in a little club, and it burned the place. 100 died, 200 were injured, 65 children lost one or both parents. It was hugely tragic, and you know, when it hit me so hard. I've toured with Great White. I played that little club. You know, I remember being in these little bars when Twisted Sister was starting, going, man, these places we'd be joking. Like, man, if there was a fire, we'd be dead, you know, but like not ever thinking it would actually happen. And so when that happened, that tragedy, it really hit home for me. And then as the years went by, there was very little outpouring from the government or from the music community to help these people. And their lives just were ruined. So this is not a happy, feel-good doc, but it's an important documentary. People need to watch, to remember. Because we can't allow this kind of thing to happen again. And it could if we're not.
Events that we do at the radio stations after that night, we really took it upon ourselves to, whenever we're hosting a concert or we have a DJ emceeing an event, we always, you know, point out the safety of the event and always make sure that we point out the exit signs.
I'm so happy to hear that. I mean that seriously, because you know, you remember the shooting in the movie theater a number of years ago, and you know, and I remember going to movie theaters and like with my kids, you know, always checking. All right, there's the exit there. And I realized the other night, my wife and I went to the movie. I said, oh damn, I haven't checked for the exits in a long time. Like after the years go by, the memory fades and complacency sets in. So it's important that we stay vigilant. It's important we remember that this tragedy happened. And I'm saying it's not a happy, feel-good type thing, dude. It's not, but it's so important, and that people remember this, and it never happens again.
Yeah, it was a tragic event. I actually remember the event happened on the radio station's birthday, and I'm going to tell you a quick story, Dee. We do a free concert every year for our listeners, and we were thinking about booking Great White that year, but the routing really didn't work out. But February 20th is the actual station's birthday, And I remember our afternoon jock at the time called me, and he's like, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, what's up? He's like, you got to put on CNN. And I put on CNN, and there was Jack Russell talking to a reporter, and then just watching. And I was up all night just watching that unfold, and what a tragedy it was.
You know, it's a documentary. Obviously, I've seen it. It's interesting on many levels because Great White was vilified and put on trial as for the pyro that they used that night and whatever. And Jack is interviewed on this thing, and he really gets to speak. And they don't try to vindicate him or whatever, but they just try to show the full story and the humanity of it all. Because House of Hair, they banned how you couldn't play Great White. But I said straight out, I said, people, I know what we're hurting. I said, but I toured with these guys. I know these guys. Were they stupid? Yes. Were they irresponsible? Yes. With the pyro. Was it foolish and ridiculous? Yes. Was it malicious? Would they ever hurt anybody, any of their fans? No. And I've always stood my ground on that because they really were, I won't say they were scapegoated. They were part of the problem there. But really, the documentary really uncovers that it went to the fire marshal looking the other way for years on the way the place was insulated and the way the safety issues in that place. So there was a lot of guilt, and that you'll find out in the documentary. That guy never was even tried, the fire marshal, who allowed all these irregularities to happen inside that club. So, and you mentioned my song before. When they contacted me to interview, because I was part of a major benefit that we did to raise money for those people, and it's featured. I said, I got a song on my new album, Leave a Scar. I think it speaks to this moment in time, and it's called Stand, and I sent it to them, and they were like blown away. So they put it in the soundtrack for the movie. There isn't going to be an official soundtrack, but there is. We did a video for Stand that's coming out this week as well. So people can look for that, too.
I got a chance to listen to the song a couple times. It's great. Happy to have new music from Dee Snider. I do have one Twisted Sister question for you. You actually liked my tweet last week. I did see that Twisted Sister released a new greatest hits album, Tear It Loose, studio and live. Why is it that Be Cruel to Your School doesn't ever seem to make any compilation album by Twisted Sister? Is it because Alice is on it as well? Is her problem getting permissions?
I'm going to tell you the absolute truth because I'm honest to a fault. And people know that about me. So I speak when you see this documentary, I speak my mind about the lack of support from the community when we tried to put this benefit together. I mean, the doors slammed in my face as we tried to get bands to step up and raise money for these people who were so desperate. Play album was a swan song for Twisted Sister, and we were coming apart at the seams on a personal level, and I had turned into a real a-hole. I got to be honest. I was a dictator, and it was just. Yeah, I was a dictator, and I made people's lives miserable in the studio. And so that album has a bad memory for the band, is when the band fell apart, when we really started. So a lot of times it gets overlooked because band members don't want to trigger those memories because we're all friends again. And we all love each other, and we put it behind us. But still, I know they don't like the memories from that time.
Well, Dee Snider, thank you for your time today. And America's Deadliest Rock Concert, the guest list, the story, The Great White Fire, happening this Sunday, 8 p.m. on REELZ. Dee, thank you so much for your time today.
And look for the Stand video. It'll be posted everywhere on social media. You'll see it.
I'll make sure to share it, buddy.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.